After visiting so many apartments that you've lost count, you finally settled on your next apartment. The security deposit and first month's rent have been paid and the lease has been signed. You're now ready to start your new life. But you've been so busy focused on getting this move done that you may not have taken stock of exactly how much trust you've placed in the landlord that you've only recently met. Today, we're examining just how much trust that might be. This is Renter Confidential. So what are you trusting your landlord with? Well, there's the stuff that you put in the apartment. Your television, your furniture, your computer, your tablet. But that's just the stuff. It's relatively unimportant and replaceable. Then there's you and your family, your partner, your children, the parts of your life that you can't replace. And now you're asking yourself, is this really what I did when I signed that lease? Well, according to a recent article, you are absolutely trusting your landlord with all of that and more. The article describes the rental experience of one couple. They rented a single-family home, but now the home reeks of mold and mildew. They have taken over the home, so much so that the couple had to move to a tent in the backyard. And they've been in the tent so long the original colors have faded. The house is currently missing its front door. Now that no one lives in the house, and with the tent having limited storage space, their belongings have been exposed to theft, and the rest have been strewn across the yard by thieves and vagrants. The stress of the situation has resulted in health problems, such as shortness of breath and chest pains, leading to hospital visits. Whenever they enter the property, they go armed with an N95 mask and a 9mm pistol. And somewhere along the way, they stopped paying rent. For their part, the city sent firefighters, police officers, and code enforcers to see the house, but they haven't been able to take any action because neither the city, county, or state have an ordinance against mold or mildew in rental properties. In addition, this particular city doesn't enforce property repairs if the rent is delinquent. So these renters have fallen through some pretty serious cracks. As for the landlord, he has evicted the renters in this particular house, as well as apparently 230 others according to court records. He claims that inflation, higher interest rates, and non-payment of rent prevent him from repairing the property. He's also quoted as saying, "The law is the law, and business is business." If the details of this article are accurate, it's landlords like this that give landlords everywhere a bad name. Treating any renter in this manner makes every renter doubt every landlord they'll ever have to deal with. In effect, it poisons the landlord-renter relationship. This is part of the reason why the judge sentenced the slumlord, Louis Kritsky, who is played by Joe Pesci, to live in his own nearly condemned building and serve as its superintendent in the movie The Super. As the movie progressed, his renters continually mirrored his uncaring attitude, throwing many of his responses to their complaints back in his face. But in the end, Kritsky actually began to treat his renters with respect, which they also showed him in return. The landlord described in this article could certainly learn a thing or two from this movie. Back in the real world, regardless of whether the state has laws around mold or mildew in rental properties, it is simply good business practice to correct any dangers in your product that may harm your customers. So, as a landlord, simply following the law is a good initial step to creating a valuable, sustainable business. But it's only the first step. It's truly disturbing that this particular landlord doesn't seem to understand this concept. The article is a real-life example of the impact of trusting the wrong landlord. It demonstrates that you're trusting them not only with your belongings, but your health as well. This is a concept that virtually no one is consciously considering when they choose a property and sign a lease. They're too busy looking at the swimming pool, the on-site gym, the view from the balcony. They've let the emotion of the situation pull them away from the substance they should really be evaluating. At this point, we're going to take a quick break here for our sponsor, Rental Secrets. This book has helped people save hundreds on their rent, and the link is in the show notes. Here's the trailer for this powerful book. America is in the grip of a housing crisis. There's evidence of it in nearly every city. 50% of U.S. households are having difficulty paying rent. And prices? Well, prices are on the rise. Frustration has set in for those trying to make ends meet, and searching for a new place can be a daunting task. It can seem overwhelming. People believe that landlords have all the power. After all, they have what you need. But it isn't true. Yes, you heard correctly. It is not true. You have more power than you think. Inside the new book, Rental Secrets, you'll learn how to reduce your rent. Just imagine having a lower rent payment. Get better value for your money. Paying rent is a struggle. Shouldn't you get more out of each payment? How to negotiate with the right people. Who has the real power to negotiate? Take control of rent renewal conversations. After all, it's your money. And even how to get free rent. Yes, it is absolutely true. Free rent is real, and you can get it. All this and so much more is in Rental Secrets. Get your copy today at Amazon.com. And we're back. Now you're thinking, but won't the lease and the law protect me? While contracts are important and are written just in case things don't go well, they tend to take quite a bit of time to enforce. And even if renters have the time to legally enforce their lease, they very seldom have the financial resources to do so. Additionally, the couple in the article fell through a legal crack, which means that while the law provides some protection, it isn't perfect. All of which boils down to one concept. Contracts are no substitute for doing business with honest and trustworthy people. In this case, landlords. In addition to trusting your belongings and your health to the landlord, you're also trusting your credit score, as well as your rental history. When a landlord goes to court and wins, they can not only get possession of the apartment back, but they can also receive a judgment for any money owed. That judgment can be placed on your credit report and possibly damage your credit score. The credit agencies likely won't be concerned with the circumstances under which the money judgment was issued, only with the fact that it exists and has been reported. Moreover, eviction proceedings are public record, so every landlord can perform a search to determine if you've ever been evicted. Some landlords offer leeway around eviction, while others go strictly by the letter of the law. It is the landlord's choice whether and when to initiate an eviction proceeding after the proper circumstances exist to do so. If the landlord wins in court, this eviction follows you, and future landlords likely won't dig into the details. Here are some simple strategies you can use to determine if you can trust a particular landlord. Strategy number 1. If you have a checklist of items that you plan to use to evaluate each apartment you visit during your search, add one specific item to it every time. And that item is, do I trust this landlord or property manager? Simply asking the question is the very first step. Strategy number 2. The landlord is doing research on you to determine if you can be trusted as a renter. So it's only a fair and good idea to research the landlord because you are taking a risk on them as well. Yes, online reviews can be helpful, but public court records may be much more informative and objective. You're looking for excessive numbers of evictions, evidence of building code violations, and other indications of bad form. To do this search, you'll need to know the landlord or property manager's legal name. That's the name that they use for business. And if they're unwilling to give you that, then that doesn't bode well for the trustworthiness. Strategy 3. While it is always good advice to go on the property tour, the property manager is not the only person you should speak to while you're on site. Talk to the renters who already live there. They've already experienced what you're about to sign up for, and they have no stake in whether you decide to rent or not. You'd like to know if the landlord is responsive, fair, and takes good care of the property. This is no different than going to a restaurant and asking the neighboring table if the fish was good before you order it. So here's the takeaway. When you sign a lease with a landlord, you're placing a substantial amount of trust in them. You're trusting them with your belongings, loved ones, health, credit, and rental history. Before signing any lease, research the landlord, speak with other residents of the building, and always ask yourself if this landlord is someone you can trust. Thanks for watching Renter Confidential. Happy apartment hunting. When it comes to renting, insider information is the best roommate you can ever have.